The bill was 1 page long, and it made no sense. The bandages cost more than the doctor. The salt water in the drip bag cost more than the antibiotics inside it. And at the bottom, a number that was somehow too small to be America, too big to be Bali, and infinitely bigger than what it would have cost at home, which was nothing. 1,230 Australian dollars. For a cut on my foot. This is the story of the night that taught me the most expensive lesson Bali ever taught me. And it's the reason that for 20 years since, I have never once flown to that island without insurance. I'll tell you what happened, what it cost, what it would cost today. I checked this month, line by line, and the one phone call that makes the scary part of this whole video disappear. This was early days. Trip number 3, 50-odd years back. I was young enough to know everything and stupid enough to skip the insurance. $100 and something I decided I'd rather spend on the trip itself. You've heard that logic. Maybe you've used that logic. I'm not here to judge it. I'm here to show you where it ends. Trip 1. You follow every rule in the guidebook. Trip 3. You think you are the guidebook. That's exactly where I was. I'd done the visas. I knew the warungs. I could count to 10 in Bahasa. And somewhere in that confidence, I decided insurance was a tax on people who weren't me. $120-odd. Saved. I spent it on the trip. In case you're wondering what my leg was worth. About a week of bintangs as it turned out. And I need to confess something here. Because this channel doesn't do half stories. My mum, you met her in the retirement video, the spreadsheet woman, has asked me the same question before every trip for 20 years. Are you insured? That year, for the first and only time, I lied to her. Yeah, mum. 2 words. She believed me because I'd always been. I think about that lie more than I think about the cut. First 4 days were perfect. Kuta. Too much sun. Too many bintangs, the works. And then on day 4, walking on the reef flat at low tide. Not surfing, not doing anything brave, just walking. I stepped on something sharp and put a 2-centimeter cut in the bottom of my foot. If you've never been to that reef at low tide, it doesn't look dangerous. That's the trick of it. Flat rock shelf, little pools, families wandering around in thongs, beautiful afternoon. And the cut itself? Nothing. A sting, a stripe of blood. Done. I've had worse from a stubborn beer cap. And here comes the mistake that actually mattered. Not the cut, the shrug. It's a scratch. I rinsed it in the hotel shower, put a band-aid on it, and went to dinner. Day 5. Angry and red. Day 6. Swollen, sore, and a faint red line creeping up my shin. Day 5 I went to a beach club. On a foot that was starting to throb, because of course I did. I was on holiday, and holidays don't have consequences. That's the whole point of them. Day 6. I bought thongs a size bigger to fit the swelling. I want you to hear how reasonable every individual decision sounded at the time. They always do. That's how these stories get written. Then, just before midnight on day 6, I woke up shivering with a fever, and the red line wasn't faint anymore. That line, for the record, is called lymphangitis. It means the infection has stopped asking permission. Now the part nobody puts in the story, because it doesn't sound tough. I was scared. Alone in a hotel room in Kuta at 1 in the morning, shaking, doing the math on a medical system I knew nothing about. So I did the only smart thing I did all week. I called Wayan. Wayan, you know him from this channel, ran the warung near my hotel. He picked up on the second ring. He was at my hotel in 20 minutes. He drove me to BIMC in Kuta, walked me in, and stayed. Bali at 1 in the morning is a different island. Empty streets, sleeping dogs, rain somewhere nearby. Wayan drove like a man who'd done this before, and I found out later he had. I wasn't his first sick Australian, not by a long way. At the door he parked me in a wheelchair, walked in, and started talking to the desk in Bahasa before I'd even found my passport. 15 years later he still does the airport runs. Loyalty like that doesn't have a price. Believe me, I've tried to pay it. And I'll say this clearly, because Bali hospitals cop a lot they don't deserve. The care was excellent. BIMC is Australian accredited. Actually the first hospital in Indonesia to earn that. The doctors spoke perfect English. They knew exactly what a tropical foot infection looks like, because they treat them weekly. And within an hour, I had IV antibiotics going and a bed. But first, the desk. Because before the drip went in, the credit card came out. No insurance meant no guarantee, and no guarantee meant a deposit. 15 million rupiah, about 1,500 Australian dollars, before treatment. At 1:40 in the morning, standing on one foot, watching a card machine decide my future. It approved. Barely. I remember the sound of that receipt printing like it was a starting gun. The medicine was excellent. The medicine was genuinely excellent. But the meter started before the medicine. The waiting room taught its own lesson, by the way. At one table, a backpacker with road rash down his entire left side. Scooter. No license, no insurance. Very quiet. 2 tables over. A toddler with Bali belly, and parents doing that silent panic maths parents do. Every table in that room was a video on this channel. I just didn't know it yet. 3 days later I'm discharged with antibiotics and a limp. Discharge took 4 hours. Not the medicine, the paperwork. I sat in the discharge lounge watching other foreigners at the front desk. And I'll tell you what stays with me. Nobody argues about their health. Everybody argues about the invoice. One bloke was on the phone to his bank trying to raise his card limit, on speaker, to a hold song. That's a sound you'll hear in every Bali hospital, any night of the week. And then they hand me mine, itemized, 1 page. And this is where it stops being a story about my foot. The doctor's consultation, $90. Fair. The man diagnosed me in 4 minutes and probably saved my leg from something much worse, worth every cent. Then the page goes feral. Saline solution. A bag of sterile salt water, $40. The IV line and cannula, $35. Wound cleaning and dressing, $260. Consumables, $90. Consumables being gauze, tape, and what I can only describe as the general vibe of a hospital. Bloods, $220. Take-home antibiotics, $80. And my favorite line, the one I asked about twice, an international patient administration fee, $60. A fee for the paperwork, about the fee. Total, 1,230 Australian dollars. Now, here's why I say it made no sense, and I mean it as a puzzle, not a complaint. My follow-up dressing change a week later, at a local clinic 10 minutes away, $25. Same gauze, same tape, same salt water. At home in Australia, Medicare, $0. In America, the same night out, $8,000 if the internet is to be believed. And the local price for my exact treatment, I found this out years later, runs about 60% of what I paid. There is a foreigner price. It's not hidden. It's just not mentioned. 1 page. 4 different countries. Worth of logic. No wonder it didn't add up. I still have that invoice. It's in a drawer at home, next to my passport. $1,230 for a cut foot, and I've kept it for 15 years, because it's the cheapest education I ever bought, and I like having the receipt. Now the part that matters to you. I repriced that exact night this month. Same hospital tier, same treatment, 2026 numbers. Consultation at an international hospital, $40 to $100. ER workup with blood work, $150 to $300. IV fluids and meds, $2 to $500. If they'd kept me longer, one night in a private room is $3 to $500, and an overnight admission with the works runs $1,500 to $4,000 Australian. ICU, $1,500 to $2,500 a night. The deposit without insurance, still 10 to 20 million rupiah, up front, at the desk. And that's the cheap version of this story, because my version had no scooter in it. A serious scooter accident without insurance runs $20 to $50,000 and up. A medical evacuation home, the air ambulance, $40 to $90,000 Australian dollars. Let that one sit. The flight home can cost more than the house deposit. And the bit above Bali's pay grade, cardiac, major trauma, the really serious nights. That means Singapore, 2.5 hours by air ambulance, $20 to $100,000 depending on how you fly. Your insurer's medical team makes that call, not you, which is another way of saying, no insurer, no call, no plane. 2 options I didn't know existed back then. So you do now. The mobile doctor services. A proper GP comes to your villa, $35 to $80. Handles the Bali belly and the infected cuts right there by your pool. And the public hospital, Sungla, in Denpasar, the big trauma center, where Bali itself goes. A fraction of the private price, far less English, far longer waits. The brave option. The international wing will take your card either way. My $1,230 was the discounted lesson. The full price version is a GoFundMe. So here's the math that should end every argument. A comprehensive 2-week Bali policy for a healthy 30-year-old, priced this year, $80 to $250 Australian dollars. $8 to $15 a day. Less than 1 round at a beach club. My cut foot would have cost me the excess, maybe $200 instead of $1,230. And the scenarios that actually ruin families, the trauma, the ICU weeks, the medevac, those are exactly what the policy exists for. Insurance isn't for the bill you can pay, it's for the bill that ends you. And let's kill a myth while we're here, because people genuinely believe it. If it all goes wrong, the government will fly you home. No, the embassy can visit you, call your family, and hand you a list of lawyers. The bill, every dollar, including the $40,000 to $90,000 flight, is yours. That's not me being dramatic. That's the Smart Traveller website. Had I bothered to read it, Australia can't pay your bill, your mum ends up paying your bill. Ask me how I know. That thought kept me awake. But, and this is the part that earns this video its keep, a policy you bought wrong is barely better than no policy. 3 traps, and you've heard them on this channel before. 1. No valid bike license and IDP, and your scooter claim is dead. Most basic policies exclude riding entirely unless you've added it, and some only cover up to 125 cc. 2. Alcohol. Hurt yourself drunk, and some insurers will walk away from the claim. Read your clause. 3. Undeclared pre-existing conditions. Declare everything. A claim denied over a condition you didn't mention is the most avoidable financial disaster in travel. And now the phone call, the one trick in this whole video I'd tattoo on the departure gate. If you're insured and you're heading to hospital, call your insurer's 24-hour emergency line first. If the situation allows, they issue what's called a guarantee of payment to the hospital, and the deposit disappears. BIMC and Siloam have direct billing arrangements with the major insurers, which means you walk out without paying, instead of paying $1,500 at 1:40 a.m. and arguing with your bank from a gurney. One phone call. That's the whole trick. One practical add-on from the expat families. Set up a travel money card before you fly. Wise, Revolut, whatever you like, with your daily limit raised. Indonesian card machines have moods at 3 a.m. and the standard Australian daily limit can sit under a hospital deposit. The deposit doesn't care about your banking app. Oh, and buy the policy when you book the trip, not the night before you fly. The cancellation cover only counts from the day you buy it. The honesty paragraph, because this channel has one in every video. Bali's top hospitals are genuinely good. BIMC carries Australian accreditation. Siloam carries the big international one. There's a brand new international hospital in Sanur that opened last year. And for 95% of what happens to tourists, you're in safe hands. This was never a video about Bali medicine being scary. Bali medicine is fine. Bali billing is the adventure. Medicare stops at the border, completely, every time, no matter how long you've paid into it. And no, nobody sponsored this video. I don't care which policy you buy. I care that when the card machine starts deciding your future at 2 a.m., you've already made the call. Next upload, back to lane 3. 7 things I flat out refuse to do in Bali after 20 years, and number 4 used to be my favorite thing on the island. If you're watching on the TV, grab your phone, search TRIPZONE, and hit subscribe. And if you've got your own Bali hospital story, the comments are open. Post your bill total. I'll pin the worst one, because after mine I promise you, there are worse. One last thing, Wayan never let me pay him back for that night. Not the petrol, not the parking, not the soup he brought the next morning. Mate, if you're watching, the next 100 bintangs are on me.